What's up, guys? It's Rusty Reels, and I'm here with another movie review for The Conjuring: The Last. What's up, guys? It's Rusty Reels, and I'm coming back at you with another horror movie review. And I'm excited to be here. The Conjuring: Last Rites is here, and it's billed as the final chapter of the Warren story. It's directed by Michael Chave. You may remember did the last movie, The Devil Made Me Do It, and he also did The Nun too. I personally was not a fan of the Devil movie, but I thought The Nun 2 was better than the original Nun, if that amounts to anything. At least it had good scares in it, at least a few good scares and some creepiness in it. This movie adapts the Smurl haunting set in 1986 in Pennsylvania. The Smurl case was one of the Warrens' most infamous, controversial hauntings. For the Warrens, this case was framed as the one that broke them, spiritually and emotionally exhausting, with no clear victory like some of their earlier cases had. The Conjuring series has always leaned into the based on true events, tying itself to real cases. And it's been over 12 years since the first Conjuring film came out in 2013. And in that time, we've had three main entries and a lineup of spin-offs from Annabelle, The Nun, for a total of 10 movies. So this finale tries to wrap up more than a decade of movies and decades of the Warrens' case history. So it's an astronomical feat. Let's find out if it does it or not. Before I dive into the positives, hit that like button and subscribe if you love horror movies and reviews. I cover the good, the bad, and the so bad it's painful, so you don't have to. So here are my positives. I'm going to start off with the direction and vision. Chavez aimed at intimacy and restraint. They're less spectacle, and it's more of a farewell to the Warrens than anything. There's less focus here on building the franchise and the plot of it. It's more on closure. It's grounded. It's character based, and it's a send off for Ed and Lorraine Warren. There's less of a villains crossover that was kind of mentioned at one point. And honestly, I probably would have liked more of a Avengers style crossover with all of the villains, but we'll get more to that later on, and more so in the negatives. Chavez actually mentioned that this was more of a movie like Wolverine's Logan versus if you think of a Marvel movie or the X-Men series, it's not this big spectacle and send off like I've mentioned. It's intended to be more intimate and focused on their family and the development of that internal story as a family and parents. So as far as the performances go, Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, once again, they carry this movie. They deliver a solid performance. It's heartfelt. And again, I want to keep on bringing this up. They really hit the tone with the parents and the daughter. Mia Tomlinson, she plays the daughter Judy, and she really gets more of a role to shine here and develops the whole family scene overall in this movie. And it really does connect in all the performances, at least for those three, were good. There's not much to mention on the supporting cast. They were there, but they didn't really have a big role overall like the Warren family does. I've got to mention the 80s production design, including the score and some of the set pieces. It's not as elaborate as like the Stranger Things, but the retro detail and some of the eerie atmosphere, it's pretty cool with the 80s songs in there. There's at least a couple good ones. And again, it's not like Stranger Things, but it's still, there's some cool callbacks to 80s movies. In the trailer, you'll remember the mirror scene and really some of the plot, the storylines. I won't give away too much here, but it ties into like the Poltergeist series and not only in that mirror scene, but also some of the ghosts that pull up and so it's pretty cool, especially if you're a fan of 80s horror. So there is a closure factor here. This does feel like a nice send off for the Warrens. And technically, they're already retired in the paranormal hunting at the beginning of this. So I'm not really sure, like the marketing material said that this story broke them. It probably did in real life for other reasons, but I'm not going to be too nitpicky here. The themes of legacy, faith, and family really give this emotional weight. So now for the mix. I'm going to bring up the scares and tone. There were a few decent jump scares, And overall, this film really leans into the atmosphere, but more so than the terror and the jumpiness of it. At times, it even slips into camp a little bit too. But if you're a horror fan and you're a fan of the Conjuring series, this is more so the same that you've seen in the first two movies, back on the haunted house type story. So, also in the mix is the technical elements. There is strong production design. It's a well made movie, but there is a little bit of the sound editing and camera work from Chavez that just didn't really meet James Wan's signature flair. Not to be too nitpicky, but some of the scares, especially in the first act that I can remember, it didn't really have the same level of tension or the jump scare just because the editing was off, in my opinion. And so they're a little bit left a little bit more to desire there. So here's the negatives. And again, I really was excited for this movie, and I don't want to downplay the positives, but the film splits the focus between the Warrens and the Smurls until a little bit over an hour or over the midpoint. It's definitely slow burn. It lacks tension and it leaves large stretches feeling kind of boring. And that's the biggest issue. It's just really mediocre as a horror movie and just as a movie in general. I had trouble focusing on this movie and most of the acts, except the very end. I've, I could see some saying that it went off the rails, that it was exciting in the last part, in the last act. But before that, each of the acts, it was just slow. And if that's your thing, that's cool. It wasn't for me. I was pumped and excited for this, and it was just disappointing. So the main villain and threat, the demon, I guess that's what there was. It's just really poorly defined and forgettable, and there's never really a presence. The movie starts off with the mirror that you'll see in the trailers, and I really went into this thinking that whatever demon that was would kind of connect with Valak and Annabelle and everything all together. And not to give away too much, no spoilers here, but another part that was just disappointing. And it's not really present there. And I don't even know if it's named. If it wasn't exciting enough for me to catch on to that. Annabelle is there, and I really enjoy the Annabelle movies, especially thing over and over with Annabelle. I will mention there were some other ghosts. At least one of them, the male that has the axe, was pretty cool to watch, but wasn't anything that wasn't forgettable that you won't remember in the future. With that central villain, I'll go back to what Chavez had even said in interviews. At one point, I think they were considering like this huge Avengers Endgame type crossover with bringing Valak and Annabelle and all the different demons, and it just didn't happen. I think it's okay that they didn't do that, but I personally, not that I went in with expectations, but I would have preferred something like that that really connected everything together. And my last gripe is marketing versus reality. I try my best to avoid the trailers, but this movie was also promoted as featuring the real Smurl case. In reality, it barely shows up. It's a missed opportunity. And I think they used the Enfield tapes in Conjuring 2, and they did use a little bit of this, and it is in the end credits. But I'm pretty sure that I seen some marketing that this was like the last 30 minutes was a mixture of the tapes from the Smurl case, and it not to give away too much, but it just doesn't happen. And so I'm not sure what happened there. I don't know. Maybe you can let me know in the comments if I missed something on that. So here's my final verdict. Where does this leave us? This movie is stronger than The Devil Made Me Do It, which is good, but it's nowhere near as good as the first movie. It's probably comparable to the second movie with the Enfield case. This works better as a closure and heartfelt send off for the Warrens than it does a horror film. I'm giving this 2.5 stars, mediocre stars out of 5. And this is definitely a matinee for horror fans and fans of this series, but everybody else can probably skip it. There's just a forgettable movie. So, what did you think of this movie? Let me know in the comments. Did it deliver a proper send off for the Warrens, or was it a letdown? Drop your thoughts, hit the like, and subscribe for more horror reviews. It's one of my favorite genres, and you'll see more from me. So thank you guys for listening to me on this review. This is Rusty Reels out.